What's going on, everyone? We're going to review Tino's puzzle solution from February's Puzzle of the Month on Eldrazi.dev. The puzzle is called Kinnan Opens a Zoo and featured some really fun lines. Before we get into the video, I want to shout out all of the supporters on Patreon who helped to keep Eldrazi.dev running and free for the community. Without further ado, here's Tino.
Hi, my name is Tino Konecki, or I'm also known as Syreno on the internet, and this is the solution video to the puzzle of the month of February that I made on the deck that I'm known for, Kinnan. I made this puzzle because I got reminded of this line from a game I had at Eternal Mania in Belgium last year, where I used my imposter mech to copy a Birds of Paradise and crew it, trying to go off with my Valley Floodcaller, which didn't work because I didn't know that my imposter mech does not copy the creature type bird of a Birds of Paradise. I then won that game by, if I remember correctly, Shifting Woodlands my Birds of Paradise I had in my graveyard. So I wanted to make a puzzle that revolves a bit around this mechanic, which is probably already giving the solution away a bit. As I figured out once I saw the solutions everyone put in, was that there was actually multiple solutions in the end to this puzzle. I thought that's interesting as well, because when making the puzzle, I didn't think there was. I would have needed to put more of the mana rocks in my deck in exile to only make one of them accessible in this game state. Enough time to show the solution. So first of all, we're noticing that there's 3 card types in our graveyard currently: artifact, enchantment, and creature. You can fix that by putting a land in our graveyard. So play Verdant Catacombs as land for turn, and crack it to fetch a tropical island, losing a life. Then activating the Shifting Woodlands, making it into a Birds of Paradise. Then we can cast the Nature's Rhythm for X=3. This does have haste because the Shifting Woodlands, as stated, was already in play the last turn, because we didn't play a land yet for turn. For X=3, we're going to find the Valley Floodcaller. I'm going to keep the graveyard here for now. It should be all there, but just for visibility's sake, I'm going to keep it here. Now we cast Snapback, pitching the Consecrated Sphinx, targeting pretty much any one of these creatures, which will generate a Valley Floodcaller trigger, which will untap this Birds of Paradise and give all of our birds, frogs, and others +1/+1. Then holding priority on the cast of Snapback, on the Snapback, casting Pact of Negation, targeting the Snapback, generating another Valley Floodcaller trigger, holding priority on that one, floating to blue mana, sorry. Letting this resolve. There's now 2 additional power on this Valley Floodcaller. This spell resolves, they go to the graveyard. Now from this position, we make some more blue mana and transmute this Dizzy spell. For my solution, I use it to grab Mana Vault here. I think from what I've heard that you can also grab Sol Ring here, and it shouldn't really matter. There's also a different order of spells you can cast this in the end, but it all results in the same win, which is why I'm not going to show all these additional solutions, because there's a way where you transmute this in the end, not into Mox Amber, but into Springleaf Drum, which basically does the same. So I'm not going to go over it here. Now we cast the Mana Vault, generating another Valley Floodcaller trigger, and having this make 2 more blue mana. Blue mana. Make 4 colorless mana. Then cast the Transmute artifact in our hand, which will generate another trigger. Untapping this, floating it this time for 2 green. Then Transmute artifact, sacrificing this Mana Vault, grabbing a Mox Amber from our deck. Then float 2 more green, and use it to harmonize this Nature's Rhythm for x equals 7. Generating another Valley Floodcaller trigger. This goes to exile. Hullbreaker Horror enters the battlefield. And now we can, with a simple cast of the High Fate Trickster that's left in our hand, generate a Hullbreaker Horror trigger that's going to target the Mox Amber. And with bouncing this card and the Elvish Mystic around, we can generate infinite mana. From that point on, we can do the usual Kinnan stuff of winning with Finale of Devastation by flipping in Thrasios, making infinite mana and punching everyone to death. That's usually how you win in Kinnan, but there's a lot of ways you can take from here. I think this puzzle is something that can come up in a game. Like, I have had a lot of win lines involving Shifting Woodlands like this, where you don't make the usual way of just activating to grab Basalt Monolith for Hullbreaker Horror. And I think Valley Floodcaller lines are always pretty awesome to happen. Let's just go back to the start. I think it's hard to find this in a game from this state, though, because it's very much a thing of, I would question if I would even look for a line like this if this was in a real game. My hand seems so stacked for the game anyway. Where am I trying to get? But knowing that there is a solution that's winning me the game this turn, I would just start it with trying to figure out, okay, what is the end state going to look like? How I'm actually winning the game in the end, which is most likely with Hullbreaker Horror loops, because my Basalt Monolith was placed in exile, which is why I think the best way to go about this is a bit to reverse engineer the solution, which is, okay, I need to get to a position where I can get a Hullbreaker Horror into play, and I can loop my mana rocks left back and forth. So I first need to get the mana rocks and then get the Hullbreaker Horror, and then have another spell to cast to start the loop, which is where I would get to this Birds of Paradise in my graveyard, because there's obviously no way I can cast all these spells without making blue mana. And the only repeated way to make blue mana in my turn would be with Birds of Paradise Valley Floodcaller. I think, though, that a lot can be gained from puzzles like these, because personally I've just found, if I know the ramifications that need to happen, that a win might be present. Let's say I would already be thinking of, if I have a line here, if I found out, okay, there's a Birds of Paradise in my graveyard, I have an active Shifting Woodlands, and I have a bunch of free spells in my hand that can lead me to generate a lot of mana, then I would look for a win. And I think that can make you a better Kinnan player in a way. If you don't just know how to play the draw engine game, but you also know, okay, let's say there's a Ral untapping after me, and he has a Scar and a Burgi on the battlefield, and I know that I'm super losing if I pass into his turn, even with one or two backup spells, then I would need to look for a win, which puzzles like these really train you to find your tightest windows in a way, which I think is a really important skill to have in cEDH, especially in Swiss, where time is low and you can't really guarantee yourself getting another turn with your interaction all of the time, because maybe the time runs out before you get to your turn again. Yeah, thanks for sending in all the solutions. I had great fun doing this, and I hope I can do this again sometime in the future.